Okay, Mr. Mayor, we are now live. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I would like to call this meeting to order. Is there any member of council or staff who would like to add anything to our agenda here tonight? Madam Clerk, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through your chair, staff would like to respectfully request addition of a additional closed session discussion under open meeting exemption K of section 239 of the Municipal Act, being a position plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Is there any other add-ons to our agenda here tonight? Seeing none, I have a recommendation here that the agenda be amended to include an additional item to closed session discussions for open meeting exemption K of section 239 of the Municipal Act, being a position plan, procedure, criteria, or instructions to apply to any negotiation carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board, and that the agenda be approved as amended. Someone to move the motion, please. Moved by Councilor Colburn, second by Councilor Pringle. Is there any other discussion on the motion before us? Seeing none, a show of hands, all in favor? The motion is carried. Declaration of peculiar interest, you can clear anytime you see fit. Madam Clerk, for some reason or I can't see on my agenda. I was supposed to introduce our new deputy clerk.
Through your chair, Mr. Mayor, you did that last week, but we can have her turn on her camera and say hi if you'd like.
I would like to introduce her again because I think everyone should be able to see your face. Carly, are you there? There you are. Again, welcome, Carly. Tonight it'll be official once we pass the bylaw that you are here, and I just wanted to point it out.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor, and thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to agenda minutes of the previous meetings. The first recommendation is that the minutes of the council meeting held on June 16th, 2021 be adopted. Someone to move, put on the floor, please. Moved by Deputy Mayor Carlton, second by Councillor Barfoot. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, a show of hands, all in favor? The motion is carried. Our next recommendation is the minutes of the special council meeting held on June 23rd, 2021 be adopted. Someone to move to put on the floor, please. Moved by Councillor Colburn, second by Councillor Barfoot. Any discussion on the motion? A show of hands, all in favor, please. The motion is carried. And the last special council meeting, that the minutes of the special council meeting held on July 13th, 2021 be adopted. Someone to move, put it on the floor, please. Moved by Councilor Colburn, second by Deputy Mayor Carlton. Any discussion on the motion before us? A show of hands, all in favor of the motion. The motion is carried. Moving right along, we're down to announcements. Councilor Colburn, you have a real exciting announcement. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this announcement is in recognition of a resident of Georgian Bluffs, and with congratulations, Kemble's best known piper, community booster, and honorary mayor, Mr. Keith Davidson, has received a National Women's Institute Award for his contributions to the Kemble Women's Institute and its promotion of home and country. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations, Keith. You certainly are an icon of Georgian Bluffs. Moving on to the agenda then, we have no public hearings. We're down, no delegations. Consent agenda. Is there any item off the consent agenda that a council member would like to pull? Councillor Colburn?
Perhaps, Mr. Mayor, I wondered about a bit of an update from you on the biodigester joint board meeting 8.2.2. Given that you at that meeting were discussing the results of the decommissioning report. But if there's nothing that you're really prepared to say at this time or don't have a lot of more information to provide to us, then that's fine too.
I have no problem doing that, Councilor Colburn. But I think I would rather either turn it over to Steve or to our CEO to bring that report update to us. But no, by all means, let's do that.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Carlton, do you have anything to pull from the consent agenda?
Yes, the two resolutions from the other municipalities, 8.3.1 and 8.3.2.
Okay. If there's no other items, I'll read the recommendation. Consideration of the items separate from, no. I guess the right spot. The Council of Township of Georgian was to adopt a consent agenda for information as circulated less 8.31 and 8.3.2. And I'm going to ask, I don't think it's necessary to pull the biodigester board meetings out, but we'll just ask Steve or Al to just update us on that discussion we had concerning the study we got. If that's okay with Al? See him shaking his head. If someone to move, put the motion on the floor, please. Move by Councilor Colburn, second by Councilor Pringle. Is there any discussion on the motion before us? Seeing none, a show of hands, all in favor? The motion is carried. With I'll be Councilor or Deputy Mayor Carlton. Let's just let Al just update council on our discussion concerning the biodigester and the feasibility study. Either Al or Steve. Maybe we do that first. So Al, and maybe I turn over to you first.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And just going off memory, I wasn't prepared to speak to it today. I will remind council that we do have a report coming back in September to council where we were going to then summarize the recommendations in the study in regards to the mothballing report, in addition to the feasibility study that we have, so the council can make an informed decision on the future of the biodigester. In essence, from recollection, there was a consultant who made a presentation in regards to the mothballing study. There was various costs and various scenarios presented. In some cases, basically, the idea that we can simply just mothball it without any additional costs. There was some clarification around that. There was certainly a bunch of things for staff to consider and for council to consider if that is a decision that council is going to be contemplating. The report that's going to be coming back in September will summarize all of those costs that were identified, some of the pros and cons of a potential mothballing direction for the biodigester. And then we'll put it together with another scenario in regards to the feasibility study. And at that point, council can then make an informed decision as to how it wants to proceed. Steve, I know you worked a lot closer on the mothballing. If you wanted to add something.
Yeah, no, I just want to say that the presentation was received there on the biodigester. I can make the presentation available to council if they would like to see a copy of what was given at the biodigester. The presentation was basically looking at the decommissioning and also the mothballing of it. And if we had to do a restart, it also looked at those costs as well. So just to add to the CAO's talk as well.
Point of clarification, Steve, and now that report was given to the biodigester board or in camera, was it not?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I believe it was an open session.
Okay. I'm just confirming that. Councilor Colburn, is that enough information for tonight? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'll go to Deputy Mayor Carlton, 8.3.1, City of St. Catharines. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Both of these items that I asked to have pulled are regarding Lyme disease. And I realize that's way outside of our purview. That's a health department issue and such. But Lyme disease is something that is quite prevalent in our area. And I wondered if there was some way where we could show support to the health unit, our local health care. My husband had Lyme disease, and it's a terrible disease to try and deal with. And only 10% of the people who actually test positive for it. 90% of people test negative. So what this report was asking is to get those other forms of testing in place. So I don't know if there's a way that we can move forward to help with this, if there's a way to reword it, or if council is interested in doing that. But because I know it is such a huge risk for people being outdoors in this area, I felt it needed to be pulled and at least discussed for a little bit. So just my comments. I'd be happy to answer anything if anybody's got a question.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Carlton. I'm just wondering if maybe you would bring a notice of motion forward for our next meeting, and maybe talk to the clerk how we could either support the motion for us or change it so it more reflects Georgian Bluffs.
Okay, I see Councillor Coburn's got her hand up to say something, and with her background in health, I'd appreciate hearing her comments.
Councillor Coburn, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you to council. Lyme disease is a tricky one. It's hard to diagnose, and if I'm not mistaken, I do believe it's often misdiagnosed. So before I could support a motion like this, I would want to know from our health unit, what is the actual incidence of Lyme disease in our area? And are these alternative or additional rather types of testing, are they valid? Are they going to provide us with any more information than the tests that we currently have? Because what we don't want to do is ask the government to support tests that don't help the situation in any meaningful way. So for me personally, I would rather hear from the health unit as to whether this is something they would like us to support as a council and if it makes sense to those folks. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Coburn. Good comments. Madam Clerk, would we need to pull these two items, or would you want to talk to the health unit and bring a report back?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess that depends on council's direction here this evening. By all means, you can provide a notice of motion, and while we're drafting that motion, we can reach out to the health unit for clarity regarding the wording and the alternative testing that Councillor Coburn has highlighted for clarity, and we can present that with the motion for council's information at the August 25th meeting.
Deputy Mayor Carlton, would that suffice?
How about I reach out to the health department with these two resolutions that have come from other municipalities and get their comment on it? And then if it seems that this is something they would like to see brought forward, we involve them in on it and bring it forward that way, rather than having staff work on drafting a motion for something that maybe there's not interest from the health department, or they might be able to give us better information. I'd be willing to do that.
Mr. CEO, go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'm just wondering through the deputy mayor if it would make sense for you to raise this at the county level as well, with their connection with health, and perhaps they can explore something like that. And if it's something that public health warrants is worthy of some exploration, it would be best at the county level, and it goes county-wide. Just sort of a suggestion.
I think that's a good idea. So I will explore that further and then bring something back later if it seems necessary. Okay, thank you.
Okay. So that will cover both your items you pulled, Deputy Mayor. Okay. So moving on then, we have no correspondence. Committee reports. I have a recommendation here that the minutes of the Committee of the Whole meeting held on July 14th, 2021 be adopted, including recommendation COW 2021-066 to COW 2021-078. Someone to move to put it on the floor, please. Moved by Councillor Coburn, second by Councillor Barfoot. Is there any discussion on the motion before us? Seeing none, show of hands, all in favor? The motion is carried. Second to catch up. Okay, we are down to staff reports. And we have none. Public question period. Madam Clerk, was there anyone from the public sent a question in or anything? Seeing none?
There was not.
Thank you. So we're down to bylaws. The first recommendation is, whereas council has given consideration to the written comments submitted by the agencies in the decision on the proposed zoning bylaw amendment application Z0719 for the Rotary Club of Owen Sound for a property located at 339 Presqu'île Road. And whereas council has considered oral submissions made at the public meeting, therefore, be it resolved that Council Township of Georgian Bluffs is satisfied that the proposed amendment is consistent with the provincial policy statement 2020 and other governing regulations, and that bylaw 2021-052 be read the first, second, third time, finally passed, signed by the mayor and clerk, sealed of the corporation, and endorsed in the bylaw book. Someone to move to put the motion on the floor, please. Moved by Deputy Mayor Carlton, second by Councillor Colburn. Is there any discussion on the motion before us? Madam Clerk, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to note for the record, the amendment that was circulated to the publicly available version in the agenda. The amended version was also uploaded to the township website and shared with council. I just wanted to note that for the record.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. If there's no discussion on the motion before us, a show of hands, all in favor? The motion is carried. We're moving on to our last bylaw. The recommendation is that bylaw 2021-051 being a bylaw to appoint deputy clerk be read a first, second, third time, finally passed, signed by the mayor and clerk, sealed of the corporation, and endorsed in the bylaw book. Would I have someone to move to put the motion on the floor, please? Moved by Councillor Pringle, second by Deputy Mayor Carlton. Is there any discussion on the motion before us? See none, a show of hands, all in favor of the motion? The motion is carried. Welcome aboard, Carly. We're moving on to unfinished business. And I have a recommendation here that's as long as my arm. Okay, whereas the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, FCM, and ICLEI, Local Governments for Sustainable, ICLEI Canada, have established the Partners for Climate Protection, PCP, program to provide a forum for municipal governments to share their knowledge and experience with other municipal governments on how to reduce GHG emissions. Whereas over 350 municipal governments across Canada represent more than 65% of the population have already committed to reducing corporate and community GHG emissions through the PCP program since its inception in 1994. Whereas the PCP program is based on a 5-milestone framework that involves completion of GHG inventory and forecast, setting a GHG reduction target, developing a local action plan, implementing the plan, and monitoring progress and reports results. Be it resolved that the Township of Georgian Bluffs review the guidelines of PCP member benefits and responsibilities, then communicate to FCM and ICLEI Canada its participation in the PCP program and its commitment to achieving the milestones set out in the PCP 5-milestone framework. Be it resolved that the Township of Georgian Bluffs appoint the following: corporate staff person will be our CAO, Al Meneses, and his information is on our website. Elected official, Councillor Kathy Moore Colburn, and her information is on our website too. To oversee implementation of the PCP milestone and be the points of contact for PCP program within the municipality. Someone to move to put it on the floor, please. Moved by Councillor Pringle, second by Deputy Mayor Carlson. Is there any discussion on the motion before us? Councillor Colburn, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I didn't hear all of that. Could you repeat that motion again, please?
Ken, Councillor Colburn.
I'm just kidding. Thanks for making your way through that great big long motion.
It's different when there's so many letters to which really represent the thing, but it seems to be the way we're going nowadays to instead of saying the same name, we seem to go with different acronyms and the letters and so on. Madam Clerk, did you want to read it?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to comment through your chair, just give a brief explanation as to where this is coming from as a brief reminder to council. So further to presentations in the 2021 budget discussions, as well as those held at our special council meeting earlier this year, this PCP program is an initiative that's being undertaken by our Climate Action Committee in preparation of a climate action plan for the township. Councillor Coburn, as the chair of this committee, do you have any comments that you'd like to add?
No, I don't think so particularly. It is an important first step in this process, and the ICLEI and PCP programs provide a nice framework. It's sort of a step-by-step process so that it helps keep us on track. And yeah, I'm really excited to be becoming a part of that program for our municipality. And Deputy Mayor Sue Carlton is on that committee as well. So it's a great committee, and we're excited to start the process.
Thank you, Councillor Colburn. If there's no other discussion on the motion before us, excuse me, a show of hands, all in favor? The motion is carried. Excuse me. We know new business. Notice of motion. Does any member have a notice of motion they want to bring forward? Seeing none? So we're down to our closed
Mr.
session.
Mayor, if I may, Councillor Barfoot has her hand raised.
Oh, sorry, Carol, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm not sure if this is the appropriate time to ask this or not, but we've hired a security firm. What is it, J&J or?
Yes, JSS.
JSS, okay. Now, there were a few areas laid out, but will they still patrol other areas, say as our parks? I'm a little worried about liability, you know, if we can't prove due diligence. You know, if there's drinking and alcohol involved in our park system or on our township property, can we prove due diligence that we've tried to curb it? And I'm just wondering if whoever can just drop a little hint to them that it would be nice if they would take a drive past our parks and, you know, especially shorefront properties where there's not a lot of activity at night.
Thank you, Councillor Colburn. Mr. CEO, any comments? Are you, you're very familiar with JSS?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, and to the councillor, absolutely. The outsourced firm providing us with some bylaw enforcement activities, we can assign and sort of ask them to highlight specific areas. So we've taken note of what you've asked, and we can certainly advise them to take a drive. You'll recall that they are on contract to us on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. So we will certainly ask them to start taking some tours through our public parks, through any of the public areas that we own, specifically shore road allowances. And if they do see any illegal consumption of alcohol, that they take appropriate steps.
Thank you, Al. Councillor Barfoot, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. CAO. I think in times like this, and we're still under COVID, you know, we should be obeying the rules and regulations there as well. And since Gray County at one time had the highest rate of alcoholism or impaired driving and binge drinking in that, I think it would be a step in the right direction for the municipality to prove a little more due diligence than we are at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Barfoot, and staff have well noted your concerns. So moving on with our agenda, we're now going to close session. The recommendation is that the Council of the Township of Georgian Bluffs move into closed session at 5:30 p.m. in the council chambers with the CEO, clerk, and director of operation meeting in the room to discuss: 1, advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communication necessary for that purpose. 2, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. And 3, a position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instructions to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of municipality or local board. Someone to move to put it on the floor, please. Moved by Councilor Coburn, second by Councilor Barfoot. Is there any discussion on the motion before us? Madam Clerk, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If I may, we would like to request a small amendment to that motion, being to add our Director of Finance to those closed session discussions.
So noted. So someone to move to put it on the floor, please. I think I forgot if I asked. I think I asked. Sorry. Show of hands, all in favor, please. Motion is carried. So we go out and go into our in-camera session.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, we are now live. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Council went in closed session to discuss matters under open meeting exemptions F, B, and K of Section 239 of the Municipal Act. As a result of closed discussions, the following actions were taken. 1, received for information, no other action was taken. 2, direction was provided to staff. 3, as a result of closed discussion regarding item 18.2 and further to report LEG 2021-23 and recommendation COW 2021-073 approved at the July 14th, 2020 meeting of Committee of the Whole, bylaw 2021-54 presented for enactment. Now I'm going to read the recommendation. That bylaw 2021-53 being a bylaw to establish a council remuneration committee for the Township of Georgian Bluffs, appoints the members to the committee and adopt terms of reference for the committee. You read it first, second, third time, finally signed by the mayor and clerk and sealed and seals the corporation. Someone to move that recommendation, please put on the floor. Moved by Deputy Mayor Carlton, second by Councillor Barfoot. Is there any discussion on the motion before us? Excuse me. By show of hands, all in favor of the motion? I believe the motion is carried. No, I can't say that. Madam Clerk, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to note clarify for the record that when reporting out of closed session, we reported out of order. So first we reported on item 18.1 being advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege. That item was received for information and no other action was taken. Then we moved to item 18.3 being the additional item to our agenda, being that relating to negotiations, during which direction was provided to staff. Then we moved to item 18.2, being the personal matters about an identifiable individual. I just wanted to clarify the order so that your reporting was clear.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Apologize for that, and that's good to point that out. We've taken a vote on the motion for the remuneration committee. I believe, Madam Clerk, your hand is still up. Is there something else? No? Okay, I'll read the confirming bylaw. Bylaw 2021-54 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council on July 21st, 2021 be read a first, second, third time, finally passed, signed by the mayor and clerk, sealed and sealed the corporation, endorsed in the bylaw book. Someone to move to put the motion on the floor, please. Moved by Councillor Pringle, second by Deputy Mayor Carlton. Is there any discussion on the motion before us? A show of hands, all in favor of the motion? Excuse me, the motion is carried. Okay, our next regular meeting will be August 11th at 5 p.m. unless there's a special meeting called, but that's where it's sitting right now. I need one more motion for adjournment. We know other business here tonight. I see none, so a motion for adjournment moved by Councillor Barfoot, second by Councillor Pringle. A show of hands, all in favor of adjournment?